So, you've done everything right. You have the successful career, the nice things, a life that looks perfect on paper. You've checked all the boxes society told you to check, but there is this quiet, nagging feeling that something is missing, isn't there? A hollow echo in rooms filled with your achievements. It feels like you're sleepwalking through a life you were supposed to love, a life other people might even envy. That feeling, it's not a flaw, it's not something to push down or to ignore. It's a warning sign, a signal from the very core of who you are. And today we're going to uncover the 7 subtle signs that you are meant for more than just a life that looks good to others. Hey there, beautiful souls, and welcome back to Cherie Shandell. If you're here with me today, you're in a space dedicated to self improvement, profound mindset shifts, and truly elevating your entire life from the inside out. This is where we learn to grow, to heal, and to align with that highest, most radiant version of yourself. And I'm so genuinely grateful you've chosen to spend this sacred time with me. This isn't about chasing more money, more success, or even more trophies. It's about a different kind of chase. It's about alignment. It's about closing the gap between the life you're living and the life that is waiting to be lived through you. For centuries, thinkers have wrestled with this exact problem, the gap between looking successful and feeling fulfilled. Aristotle had a word for the ultimate goal of human life, eudaimonia. It is just fleeting happiness in the state of flourishing that comes from living as your highest self. When you feel that emptiness despite having it all, you're feeling the absence of eudaimonia. You've climbed a ladder, maybe even to the very top, only to realize it's been leaning against the wrong wall the whole time. The journey we're about to take is one of self discovery. It takes guts, honesty, and a willingness to look at the parts of ourselves we've been taught to ignore. We're going to get past the surface level, and diagnose the root cause of this deep dissatisfaction. Because that quiet feeling of emptiness isn't a sign that you're broken, it's a sign that your true potential is trying to break through. It's a call to adventure from your own soul. And the first step on any adventure is to figure out where you are right now. So let's start with the first and maybe most foundational sign that you are not living your true potential. A huge thanks to Manta Sleep for sending me their weighted sleep mask. And y'all, it's a game changer. First off, it's pressure free, so no squishing your eyelids or bending your lashes. It's a perfect fit if you're a side sleeper like me. The material is soft, breathable, and comfy all night long. And it's not just a mask, it comes with noise reduction earplugs and a wash bag. So you've basically got the ultimate sleep kit. It's 100% washable, so cleaning, it's no big deal. Plus, this is my favorite part. It's true to a blackout mask. So you get that deep, uninterrupted sleep. The fit is fully adjustable, so it works for literally any head size. So I slept good last night, y'all. If y'all want to sleep like I did last night, you should grab this mask now. The link is below. First sign is that constant nagging voice in your head, the voice of persistent self doubt. It's a deep lack of trust in your own ideas, your own abilities, and your own gut feelings. This isn't just a little humility, it's a chronic condition of second guessing that stops you in your tracks. You have a brilliant idea in a meeting, but you kill it before it ever leaves your lips. You're convinced it's not smart enough. You dream of starting that side project, learning that new skill, or making a bold career move, but the internal monologue is ruthless. Who are you to do that? You don't have the experience. You're not qualified. You'll probably fail anyway. This hesitation is the first wall between you and your potential. This pattern or self doubt is sneaky. It often pretends to be practicality or realism. You tell yourself you're just being sensible, but if you look closer, It's a defense mechanism that's really just rooted in fear. You talk yourself out of your dreams, not because they're impossible, but because you don't trust yourself to handle the ride. You don't trust your own resilience if you fail. You don't trust your own intuition to guide you when the path forward isn't a straight line. We've been conditioned for generations to trust everyone else, teachers, bosses, experts, over our own inner wisdom. For our ancestors, straying from the tribe was a literal death sentence. This ancient wiring still hums inside us, making us terrified to be different or blazing our own trail. So we learn to dim our own light to stay safe. The damage is here, subtle but corrosive. It's a life lived in the shadow because we're afraid of the deep water. Every time you talk yourself into an idea, you betray a small piece of your soul. You're essentially telling yourself, your instincts are wrong. Your desires don't count. You are not capable. Over time, this sense of betrayal snowballs. It tanks your self esteem and creates a self fulfilling prophecy. You believe you can't, so you don't try it. And because you don't try, you have no proof that you can. You're stuck in a painful loop where your inaction proves your self doubt, and your self doubt guarantees you'll stay inactive. You end up feeling like a powerful car with the emergency brake on permanently engaged. You can hear the engine of your potential revving, but you're going nowhere fast. So, how do you start to release that brake? Here's a secret. You don't wait for the doubt to disappear. It won't. You learn to act in spite of it. This starts with rebuilding trust in yourself. And like any relationship, that takes small, consistent actions. First, learn to tell the difference between the voice of fear and the voice of intuition. Intuition feels expansive and calm. Even in the message, it's scary. It's quite knowing. For the fear, on the other hand, feels tight, anxious, and loud. It usually brings a whole parade of what ifs. Try recording a quick voice note when you get an idea and say it out loud and notice how it feels in your body. Then record the fearful thoughts that show up right after. Hearing them back creates separation. You are not the voice of doubt. You are the one who hears it. Second, start building a body of evidence. Self-trust is built on keeping the promises you make to yourself. Start small. I mean, ridiculously small. If you want to write a book, don't make the goal write a book. Make the goal write for 5 minutes tomorrow. Then do it the next day and do it again. Each time you keep that tiny promise, you cast a vote for your own reliability. You're teaching your brain that you can be trusted. This is how the real confidence is built, not by waiting for it, but by collecting proof of your own capability. Finally, change your relationship with failure. People living their potential don't avoid failure. They see it as a data point, not a final verdict with their worth. It's just tuition for their growth. When you take a small step and it doesn't work, don't retreat into your shell. Ask, what did I learn? And what can I try differently? This turns every outcome into a stepping stone, not a stumbling block. Rebuilding self trust is a quiet revolution. It's about committing to listen to your inner guidance. Keep your promises and show up for yourself, especially when you're scared. It's the foundational act of taking your power back. The second sign is maybe the most confusing of all. It's the paradox of feeling empty in a life that's supposed to be full. You've reached the top of the mountain everyone told you to climb. You have the job title, the income, the house, the relationship, the whole picture of success. You post photos online of your friends, your comments, you're living the dream. And then yet, when the noise fades and you're alone, there's that hollow ache. It's the Sunday night dread, the feeling of being an imposter in your own life, and the nagging question, is this really it? This isn't just a bad mood, it's a spiritual crisis, and the slow dawning horror that the goals you've achieved weren't actually yours. They were borrowed from your parents, your peers, or societal script that says a checklist of accomplishments equals happiness. The sociologist Aaron Fromm talked about this as having as the having mode versus the being mode. You've spent your life in the having mode, collecting things, statuses, and experiences, but you've completely neglected the being mode, the part that's about cultivating your inner self, your essential nature. You've won the game only to realize you were playing on the wrong field. The result is a slow, creeping burnout. It feels like pushing a boulder uphill every single day, not because it's hard, but because you have no deep personal reason for doing it. The motivation is just gone. Success starts to feel like a grind, not an adventure. You might find yourself getting cynical or irritable. You might chase external validation even harder, hoping the next promotion or the next purchase will finally fill that void, but it never does. This is the hedonic treadmill. The thrill of the new achievement wears off, and you're right back to where you started, just with a fancier title or a more expensive car. This feeling is a giant blinking sign that your life is out of sync with your core values. Prioritizing what the world values over your soul values. You achieve success, but you've sacrificed significance. And the pain of that trade off is finally bubbling to the surface. It's a wake up call that you are living a life that is fundamental. The solution isn't to do more, but to start unbecoming it requires the courage to question everything you thought you wanted. This is a process of deep reflection. First, you have to define what success truly means to you, away from everyone else's definition. Carve out some time for silence. Take a weekend or even a few hours and disconnect. Ask yourself some big questions. When do I feel most alive? What makes me lose track of time? If money were no object, what problem would I want to solve? What do I want my life to be about? Creativity, connection, freedom, service. Write down your answers without judging them. The point isn't to draft a new life plan overnight, but to start gathering clues to your authentic blueprint. Find your why. Second, start running small experiments in alignment. You don't have to quit your job to move to a new monastery tomorrow. The change can be subtle. If you realize creativity is a core value, but your job is all a spreadsheet, you can find a small outlet. Maybe take a pottery class, start writing for 15 minutes a day, or finally learn that guitar riff. These small actions are like tuning forks. They help you get back in tune with yourself. They introduce pockets of being into a life that's about having. Pay attention to how these activities feel. They shouldn't feel less like a chore and more like coming home. Finally, embrace the idea of a portfolio life. Most fulfilled people don't have one single, all-consuming passion. They have a portfolio of activities that together scratch all of their different itches. Think of Julia Childs, who worked in advertising and for the government before discovering her love for French cooking in her late 30s and publishing her first cookbook at 50. Or Stan Lee, who was nearly 40 when he co-created the Fantastic Four and kicked off the Marvel Universe. Their success wasn't a straight line. It was a messy process of discovery. Maybe your corporate jobs found your passion for animal rescue. Maybe your stable career gives you the freedom to pursue your art on the weekends. Stop looking for the one perfect path and start weaving together a life that is rich, varied, and uniquely yours. Moving from external success to internal fulfillment is a radical act of self-love. It's choosing to listen to the quiet whispers of your soul over the loud demands of the world. The third sign you're not living your true potential is your life is run by a single terrifying question: what will they think? You're constantly looking for a thumbs up from others who are paralyzed by the fear of being judged. This shows up everywhere. You don't share your real opinion because you're afraid someone will think it's dumb. You say yes to things that drain you because you're terrified of disappointing someone. You hide your biggest dreams because you're afraid people will laugh at you. Your life becomes a performance, a carefully managed show designed to get applause and avoid criticism. You've become a chameleon, changing your colors to blend in. In the process, you've forgotten what your own color even was. This deep seated fear isn't a personal feeling, it's an ancient survival program. For our ancestors, getting kicked out of the tribe meant almost certain death. Fitting in was survival. We didn't face saber-toothed tigers, but that part of our brain, the amygdala, still scans for social threats with the same life or death panic. So when you're terrified of what your boss, your in laws, or some random stranger on the internet will think, you're feeling a modern version of that primal fear. You're hardwired to want to belong. The heartbreaking part of this sign is that you slowly abandon yourself. Every time you swallow your words to keep the peace, you commit a small act of self betrayal. You're teaching yourself that other people's approval is more important than your own. This creates a massive internal conflict. You have your own desires and beliefs on one side and the role you think you have to play to be accepted on the other. Living in that gap is exhausting. It creates chronic anxiety because you're constantly policing yourself and trying to manage everyone's perceptions. And the tragic irony, by trying so hard to be liked, you make it impossible for anyone to actually know you. You end up feeling lonely and unseen, even in a room full of people. The only way out is to build a stronger internal source of validation. It's about shifting your center of gravity from what they think back to what you know is true. First, decide whose opinions actually matter. Right now, you might be giving the same weight to your wise mentor and some anonymous troll in the comment section. That's a recipe for insanity. Make a short list of the people in your inner circle, the handful of people whose wisdom and character you genuinely respect. Their feedback is worth considering. Everyone else's opinion is just noise. The simple act of sorting helps you stop outsourcing your self-worth to the entire world. Second, practice what researcher Dr. Brene Brown calls getting in the arena. The fear of judgment keeps you in that cheap seat as a critic. The only way to beat it is to climb into the ring and be willing to get a little beat up. This means trying some small scale exposure therapy. Share one small, honest opinion in a low stakes conversation. Say no to the tiny requests you don't want to do. Post about a hobby you love, even if you think it's nerdy. Each time you do this, you'll probably find that the world doesn't end. Or if someone does judge you, you survive. You are systematically teaching your nervous system that it is safe to be you. You're building your courage one rep at a time. Finally, and this is the big one, you have to get crystal clear with your why. When your motivation is tied to something that truly matters to you, other people's opinions start to feel very small. A high performing attorney I knew was terrified of leaving her stable but soul crushing legal career to become a health coach. She was paralyzed by what her old colleagues would think. We spent weeks clarifying her why. She realized her mission was to help people reclaim their health because she had watched her own father suffer from a preventable illness. Once she connected with that powerful personal why, the fear didn't vanish, but it lost its grip. Her purpose became a shield. When she felt that sting of judgment, she could return to her mission, and it gave her the strength to keep going. Ultimate freedom isn't about being immune to judgment. It is being so anchored in your own truth that the judgment of others can't knock you off course. The fourth sign is your body screaming for help, even when your mind is telling you to just tough it out. You are living in a permanent state of survival mode. This looks like chronic stress and anxiety that have become your new normal. You have trouble sleeping. Either you can't shut your brain off or you jolt awake at 3 a.m. with a shoot of panic. You feel constantly overwhelmed, like you're always one step behind. Your days aren't proactive, they're reactive. You're just lurching from one urgent fire to the there's a constant low grade hum of dread about the future that you can't quite name. This is your nervous system stuck in flight or fight. This system was designed to save us from immediate threats like a predator. It floods our body with cortisol and adrenaline to get us ready to fight or run for our lives. The problem is, in our modern world, the predators are the things like a demanding boss, financial worries, or the internal pressure to be perfect. Your body doesn't know the difference. It just knows it's under threat, so it keeps the alarm bells ringing 24/7. Here's the problem with living like this. It completely blocks your ability to thrive. You cannot access your creativity, your strategic thinking, or your sense of joy when your brain is 100% focused on survival. All the good stuff requires a sense of psychological safety. It requires your own nervous system to be in a rest and digest state. When you're in a survival mode, your thinking gets narrow and short term. You're more irritable. Your health starts to suffer as chronic stress is linked to everything from a weak immune system to heart disease. You are literally burning yourself out from the inside. This state is a direct signal that your current life is unsustainable. Your true potential cannot grow on a foundation of chronic stress. A simple technique popularized by Stanford's neuroscientist Dr. Andrew Huberman is the psychological sigh. Just take a double inhale through your nose and then a long, slow exhale through your mouth. Do this 2 or 3 times whenever you feel stress bubbling up. It's like a biological reset button. Second, you have to make rest non-negotiable. In our hustle culture, we see rest as laziness. This is a fatal mistake. Rest is a biological requirement for high performance. This means scheduling downtime into your calendar like it's a critical meeting. A 20-minute walk in nature without your phone, a hot bath, 10 minutes sitting in silence, it all counts. This also means protecting your sleep. Survival mode wrecks your sleep, and lack of sleep makes survival mode worse. It's a vicious cycle. Create a wind down routine an hour before bed. No screens, read a real book, do some light stretching, guard your sleep like your life depends on it because it kind of does. Third, you have to look at what's actually causing the stress. Breathing exercises are great for managing the symptoms, but to solve the problem, you have to find the source. Are you in a job with impossible demands? Are your relationships draining you? Are you putting insane pressure on yourself to be perfect? This requires radical honesty. You might need to have tough conversations, set firm boundaries, or even make a big life change. This isn't about avoiding challenges, it's about choosing the right challenges, the ones that lead to growth, not burnout. You can't build a beautiful house on a foundation that's constantly shaking. We're covering some deep stuff here, and if these signs are hitting home, I just want to acknowledge the courage it takes to even listen to this. It's so much easier to stay busy and numb out. The fact that you're still here tells me a part of you is ready for something different. If this is resonating, please take a second to subscribe and hit that notification bell. We'll talk about this kind of real self-development every week, and I love for you to be a part of the conversation. And please, share your experiences in the comments. Which of these signs are you feeling the most? Sharing your story not only helps you, but it lets other people know they aren't alone. Your honesty could be a lifeline for someone else. Now let's get back into it. The fifth sign is a secret you keep from almost everyone, maybe even from yourself. It's a sign of self betrayal. Deep down, you know there's something more for you. You have a dream, a calling, a vision for a life that feels more alive, but you've actively betrayed it. You've given up on your dreams, not because of some big dramatic failure, but through a thousand tiny silent surrenders. You decided your dream was impractical or selfish or just impossible, so you packed it away in the attic of your mind. So it's up there collecting dust, but you know it's still there. This self betrayal usually happens when we listen to our ego instead of our higher self. The ego wants what's safe, impressive, and gets a round of applause. It wants the prestigious job and the financial security. Your soul, on the other hand, wants what's authentic. It wants expression, growth, and purpose. Every life, the ego's voice is often the loudest. We chase its goals, thinking they'll make us happy. But the soul's dream never really dies, it just waits. The feeling of self betrayal is the pain of the waiting. It's the tension between the life you settle for and the one you're born to live. The result is a profound sense of regret that starts to creep into everything. It's the feeling of being haunted by the ghost of the person that you could have become. You might see someone else living a life that looks like the one you gave up on, and you feel a sharp pang of envy mixed with sadness. This envy is a huge clue. It's pointing directly at your own unlived life. You might even become cynical or critical of people who are brave enough to follow their passions. It's a way to make yourself feel better about not following yours. This can lead to a quiet desperation, a feeling that your time has passed and you've missed your shot. But Colonel Sanders faced countless rejections before franchising KFC at the age of 65. His story is a powerful reminder that our potential doesn't have an expiration date. Ignoring this call is a slow spiritual death. It is the ultimate act of playing small. You are betraying the unique gift you were meant to bring to the world. The solution is to start the process of making peace with your abandoned dreams. This is a journey of forgiveness, rediscovery, and taking the first brave step. First, you have to forgive yourself. You made the best choices you could with what you knew at that time. Beating yourself up over the past decisions will only keep you paralyzed. Acknowledging the choices, have some compassion for the person you were back then, and decide to choose differently, starting now. You can even try a little ritual. Write a letter to your younger self, explaining why you made the choices you did. Then write a letter back from your wiser future self, offering forgiveness and encouragement. This goal is to drop the baggage so you can actually move forward. Second, gently dust off the old dream and see if it still fits. Our dreams evolve as we do. The essence of the dream is probably still valid, but the form might need to be updated. The person who dreamed of being a rock star at 18 might find that core desire was creative expression. Now at 40 and 50, you could look at writing, starting a podcast, or joining a local theater. Regaining your dream is not a rigid plan, but a source of energy. What was that feeling you were really after? Freedom, impact, creativity. How can you bring a tiny piece of that feeling into your life today? Finally, you must take one single tangible step to honor that dream. This is everything. Self betrayal is a pattern of inaction. The only antidote is action. If you dreamed of being a writer, your step is to write one single page. If you dreamed of traveling the world, your step is to open a separate savings account and then put $10, $20 in it. That step can be tiny. It's power and it's not in size, but what it represents, it's a declaration to yourself and the universe that you are no longer willing to betray your soul. It's a promise that you're ready to start again. That single act breaks that spell of hopelessness and opens the door to what's possible. It is the first step back to being yourself. The sixth sign is that persuasive feeling of being stuck like a bird in a cage. And it might be a really nice gilded cage, a comfortable job, a stable life, but it's still a cage. You feel hemmed in by your circumstances, bored by the predictability of it all, and frustrated because you know you're not growing. This feeling is usually paired with a sense that you are playing small. You know you have more to offer, more talent, more value, but you hold back. You downplay your wins, swallow your best ideas, and you shrink yourself down to make other people feel comfortable. This stuckness is the emotional flatline of a live life inside your comfort zone. And let's be honest, the comfort zone isn't a place of real happiness. It's a place of stagnation that just masquerades as safety. We often end up here because we doubt our own worth. We look at people making a big impact and think, oh, they're special. I'm just me. That belief becomes a self-imposed prison. Your mistaken stability for purpose and the routine that once felt safe now just feels like a life sentence. The danger of playing small is a deep-seated frustration that can easily turn into resentment. You get frustrated with yourself for not being braver. You might start to resent other people who seem to be living bigger, bolder lives. This is incredibly draining because you are using a huge amount of energy to suppress your own life force. Imagine trying to hold a beach ball underwater. It takes constant effort to keep it down. That's what you're doing with your potential. This suppression shows up as boredom, restlessness, a feeling that nothing really matters. You might fill the void with busy work or distractions, mindless scrolling, binge watching shows, anything to numb that quiet ache of knowing you were meant for more. The solution is to intentionally and systematically start stretching the bars of your cage. You don't escape by finding some magic key. You escape by realizing the key was in your pocket the whole time. Your willingness to get uncomfortable is the key. First, change your relationship with fear. The goal isn't to get rid of fear, it's to use it as a compass. As the author Seth Godin says, that feeling of fear is a sign you're on the right track, that you're about to do something that matters. If your goals don't scare you a little bit, they're not growth goals, they're maintenance goals. Start to see that flutter of anxiety not as a stop sign, but as a green light, signaling reframe can change everything. Second, adopt a just 1 degree mindset. The idea of making a giant leap is terrifying and it leads to doing nothing at all. Instead, focus on making a tiny 1 degree shift. If you want to be more visible at work, your 1 degree shift is to speak up for just 30 seconds in the next meeting. If you want to start a business, your shift is to spend 20 minutes researching a competitor. These actions are so small they fly under the radar of your fear response, but compounded over time, they change your entire life's directions. As James Clear explains in Atomic Habits, getting just 1% better each day leads to being 37 times better by the end of the year. That's the power of small, consistent steps. Third, surround yourself with people who challenge you to be bigger. Playing small is often a reaction to your environment. If you're surrounded by people who are happy with good enough or who criticize ambition, it's almost impossible to grow. You have to consciously curate your social circle, find mentors, join groups, or just build friendships with people who are living the kind of expansive lives you want to live. Their beliefs in their own potential will be contagious. They'll normalize ambition and make your big dreams feel possible. You know the saying, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If you want to stop playing small, you have to hang out with people who play big. Breaking free is a process of intentional expansion. It's about choosing growth over comfort, action over analysis, and courage over certainty. One small, scary step at a time. The final sign that you are not living your true potential is a deep lack of passion and engagement in your everyday life. It's the feeling of just going through the motions. You wake up without any real excitement. You drag yourself to a job that doesn't light you up. You fill your evenings with passive entertainment because you're too drained to do anything else. Joy feels like a rare visitor. Passion is something you see in movies, but it feels completely disconnected from your reality. Your life lacks vibrancy. It feels like you're living in a black and white when you know there's a world of color out there. This isn't the same as having a bad week. This is a chronic state of disengagement. It's a sign you're settled for a life of fine. It means that what you do every day is fundamentally out of sync with what genuinely excites and interests you. Maybe you chose your career path for practical reasons. It was stable, it paid well, it's what your parents wanted, but you forgot to ask the most important question. Does this make me feel alive? Now, years later, the bill for that oversight has come due. Your soul is starving for something that matters to you, for a challenge that makes you want to get out of bed, for an activity that gets you into that flow state where time just disappears. The real danger here is a creeping apathy that can easily slide into depression. When you live without passion, you cut yourself off from a primary source of human energy. Life becomes a long to-do list instead of an adventure. This lack of passion bleeds into everything. Your relationships can suffer because you don't have the energy to be present. Your health can decline because you just don't have the motivation to take care of yourself. You become a passive specter in your own life, watching the days tick by with a growing sense of quiet despair. You've accepted a life that is merely tolerable when you were built for a life that is truly exhilarating. The solution is to go on a deliberate quest to rediscover your passion. This isn't about waiting for a lightning bolt of inspiration to strike you. It's an active process of exploration and experimentation. First, put on your curiosity detective hat. For a little while, forget the immense pressure of finding your one true passion. That idea is paralyzing for most people. Instead, your only job is to follow your curiosity, no matter how small or random it seems. Make a list of anything that sparks even a tiny flicker of interest. Is it ancient Rome? Bacon sourdough? Urban gardening? The science of sleep? Quantum physics? No topic is too weird or impractical. The goal is to just notice what grabs your attention. Then, for the next month, commit to spending a few hours just a week exploring one of them. Watch a documentary, get a book from the library, take a free online course. You're just gathering data on what energizes you. Second, revisit your childhood. What did you love to do before the world told you what you should do? Did you love to draw, build with Legos, write stories, or take things apart just to see how they worked? Often, our most authentic passions are buried in our early years before we learn to be so practical. That childhood love of building with Legos might point to a modern day interest in architecture, product design, or engineering. That love for writing stories might be a clue to a hidden talent for marketing or for journalism. These early interests are pure signals from your authentic self. Finally, create a passion project. This is a low stakes project that purely is for your own enjoyment with zero pressure for it to make money or become a new career. Pick one of your curiosities and create a small, real world project around it. If you're curious about photography, your project could be to take and share one of the photos every day for a month. If you're interested in sustainability, your project could be to turn your balcony into a mini vegetable garden. This does two critical things. It carves out a dedicated space for passion in your life, and it shifts you from being a passive consumer to an active creator. It's in the doing that passion is really ignited. Finding your passion isn't some grand revelation. It's a patient, joyful process of following your curiosity, trying things out, and slowly, intentionally bringing more color back into your life. So, we've walked through 7 powerful signs of a life that's being lived on low power mode. The persistent self doubt that silences you, that empty feeling that comes with the wrong kind of success, the paralyzing fear of what other people think, the chronic stress of just trying to survive, the quiet regret of giving up on your dreams, the frustrating cage of playing small, and the gray, monochrome existence of life without passion. If you recognize yourself in any of these, the first thing I want you to feel is not shame, but hope. Because seeing the problem is the first and most critical step to fixing it. These feelings are not your enemies. They are your allies. They are messengers from a deeper, wiser part of you trying to call you home. They are the proof that you were made for more than just getting by. You were made to truly flourish. The way forward isn't one giant, terrifying leap. It's a series of small, intentional steps taken over and over again. It's the courage to ask yourself what you really want. It's the commitment to keep the small promises you make to yourself. It's the willingness to get uncomfortable because you know that's the price of growth. It's the decision to surround yourself with people who lift you up and to be kind to yourself when you stumble. The journey to your true potential is the greatest adventure you will ever take. It's in the work of closing the gap between the life you have and the life that is authentically yours. This isn't about becoming someone new. It's about unbecoming everything that isn't really you so you can finally be the person you were always meant to be. The world doesn't need another copy. It needs your unique, authentic, fully expressed self. Your potential isn't just for you. It's a gift you're meant to share with all of us. The journey starts now. Just take the first step. What if I told you that the fact your fears keep coming true is actually a sign of how much influence you have over your own life? Seriously, let that sink in for a second. The fact that your deepest anxieties, those nagging worries that keep you up at night, seem to show up in reality isn't a curse. It's not proof that you're broken or doomed. It's evidence that you're an expert at turning a thought into an experience. The only problem, you've got your incredible power aimed at the wrong target. For so many of us, it feels like our fears have a fiber optic connection to reality, while our dreams are stuck on dial-up. We want success, love, and happiness, but we keep getting stuck in cycles of, I knew it was too good to be true. This isn't some cosmic joke. It's a matter of psychology. There are hidden mental patterns and deeply ingrained survival instincts running your life on autopilot, and now they're programmed to scan for danger. Hey there, beautiful souls, and welcome back to Sharice Jandell. If you're here with me today, you're in a space dedicated to self-improvement, profound mindset shifts, and truly elevating your entire life from the inside out. This is where we learn to grow, to heal, and to align with our highest, most radiant version of yourself. And I'm so genuinely grateful that you've chosen to spend this sacred time with me. In this video, we're pulling back the curtain on this entire process while we'll explore the surprising psychology behind why your fears seem to come true with such terrifying efficiency. More importantly, I'm going to give you concrete blueprint to reclaim control, take your finger off the panic button, and consciously aim your focus and behavior at the life you actually want. It's time to stop building your nightmares and start engineering your dreams. Does this sound familiar? You're heading into a huge job interview, but for days, a little voice whispers, you're not qualified, someone else is better, you're going to blow it. You try to push the thoughts away, but they stick. The morning of, you're a wreck. You walk in, your handshake is clammy, your voice is shaky, and you just can't articulate your wins with confidence. You don't get the job, and the first thing you think is, I knew it. Or maybe it's in your relationships. You meet someone amazing, but a past betrayal has left a scar. You start to feel fear they'll leave, just like the last person. You find yourself needing constant reassurance, questioning their motives, and your fears make you act clingy and suspicious. The pressure builds, the connection strains, and eventually they pull away. And there you are alone, thinking, see, no one ever stays. This isn't bad luck or a cruel twist of fate. It is just a textbook definition of a self-fulfilling prophecy, one of the most powerful principles in psychology. A self-fulfilling prophecy starts with a false belief, but because you hold that belief, then you act in ways that you are consistent with it, which causes that false belief to become true. You didn't predict the future, you unknowingly helped create it. Let's be crystal clear. This is not magic. It's a psychological feedback loop that happens entirely inside and through you. It works like this. Number one, the belief. It starts with fear. I'm not good enough. I'm going to fail. Number two, the influence on your state. This belief triggers a cascade of internal changes. Your emotional state shifts to anxiety. Your body tenses up, your cortisol levels might rise, and you are quite literally living in the biology of fear. Number three, the change in your behavior. This eternal state then leaks out into the world. The fear of failing makes you procrastinate. The fear of rejection makes you avoid asking for what you want. The fear of not being good enough makes you speak with a tone of apology, not authority. Number four, the outcome. Your behaviors produce a result. The procrastination leads to a missed deadline. The avoidance leads to a missed opportunity. The lack of confidence fails to inspire trust. And number five, the reinforcement. And here's the most insidious part. When the fear comes true, you don't think, wow, my anxious behavior created that. You think I was right all along. This reinforces the original belief, making it stronger and more likely to run the same program again. You end up living inside an echo chamber of your own fears. You whisper a fear and your actions cause the world to shout it back at you. The problem is, what this creative process never stops. Your focus, emotions, and beliefs are constantly sculpting your reality through your behavior. But for the most of us, this process is unconscious. So for the first step to understand why is the brain's default setting so often tuned to the frequency of fear? If you feel like you're fighting a losing battle against your own mind, you are not wrong. You are up against millennia of evolutionary programming. Understanding this isn't about making excuses. It's about knowing your opponent so you can learn to operate the machine instead of letting it operate you. Your brain's number one job is not to make you happy. Its primary directive is to keep you alive. Your brain is a survival machine. For your ancient ancestors, survival depended on being hypervigilant to threats. The rustle in the grass wasn't a mindful moment. With nature, it was a potential predator. The ancestors who were a little more anxious and a little more likely to assume the worst, they were the ones who survived. They passed on their genes and their hypervigilant brain, wiring all the way down to you. You've inherited a legacy of fear. It's a feature, not a bug. This leads directly to a phenomenon known as the negativity bias. Researchers have found that the human brain reacts more strongly to negative information than to positive information of equal intensity. You could get 10 compliments and 1 criticism. And what will you obsess over? The criticism. Your brain is like Velcro for negative experiences and Teflon for positive ones. So, When you have a fearful thought and a hopeful thought, your brain by design latches onto the fear with more intensity. You're fighting against your brain's natural protective but deeply outdated default setting. Fears are so potent because they are never just thoughts. A thought like the sky is blue is neutral, but a thought like I am going to lose everything detonates an emotional bomb in your nervous system. Fearful thoughts are drenched in powerful emotions, anxiety, dread, and terror. Your brain doesn't just process information logically, it prioritizes it based on emotional significance. An emotionally charged fear gets a high priority tag. It commands your attention and hijacks your focus. Think of your attention as the CEO of your mind. A neutral thought is a routine memo. An emotionally charged fear is a security guard bursting in, screaming that the building is on fire. All other business stops. This is why you can try to think positive all you want, but a single powerful fear can cut through all of it. It has more emotional mass. It's the loudest, most urgent channel, and the rest of your system is designed to tune in. Now, we go to the subconscious. Think of your conscious mind as the captain of the ship deciding on a destination. The subconscious is like the massive crew in the engine room, actually running the ship. The captain can scream full speed ahead to the dream island, but if the crew has a different map, a different set of instructions, they will steer the ship according to the plans they've been given. Your subconscious gets its instructions from repetition and emotion. Every time you repeat a fearful thought, you are handing a new set of instructions to the crew. You are training your subconscious to accept this fear as truth about your world. So how does this work? It works through you. When your subconscious accepts a belief like, I am not worthy of love, it influences your micro behaviors to align with that truth. It might cause you to subtly break eye contact or alter your posture to be more closed off. These are tiny actions you aren't consciously choosing. They are the engine crew steering the ship. Other people pick up on these signals, and so your reality begins to conform to your subconscious beliefs because of 1,000 tiny subconscious driven behaviors. You've probably heard the phrase, the brain doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality. That's not entirely accurate. Your brain definitely knows you're sitting in a chair imagining something. However, and this is the critical part, the emotional and the psychological response can be nearly identical. When you vividly imagine your worst case scenario, your heart can race, your palms can sweat, and your brain can release stress, hormones like cortisol. Your body believes it's in danger. You are putting your body into a state of stress with your thoughts and training it to live in the reality of your fear long before it ever happens. The final nail in the coffin is a cognitive shortcut called confirmation bias. This is your natural tendency to search for, interpret, and recall information in a way that confirms our pre-existing beliefs. Once you believe, I'm always broke, your conscious mind puts on special glasses that filter reality. These glasses highlight everything that proves the belief is true while ignoring or dismissing all evidence of the contrary. You'll obsess over every bill, but might completely overlook the fact you've never missed a rent payment or that an opportunity to earn extra income just appeared. This creates the ultimate self-reinforcing loop. Your fear becomes a belief. Your subconscious behaviors create a reality that matches it, and your confirmation biases filter that reality to only show you the parts that prove you were right all along. It's the prison of perception, and escaping it requires you to consciously take back the controls. Okay, take a breath. If you're starting to see these patterns in your own life, and if the part of you is ready to say enough, then do me a quick favor and hit that subscribe button. We've just dissected the why. Now we're about to pivot to the how-to. We're moving from the problem to the solution, and you won't want to miss these practical steps. We've seen the psychological machinery that so efficiently brings our fears to life. It can feel daunting, but the existence of this machine is the very proof of your influence. The system works. You just need to become the conscious operator. This is the three-step process: becoming the watcher, the author, and the architect of reality. The first step is to stop being a prisoner of your mind and start being the watcher of it. You are not your thoughts. You are the consciousness that is aware of them. The moment you can observe your thoughts, you reclaim your power. The primary technique here is a strategy I call name it to tame it. It's simple but profound. The next time that a familiar wave of fear washes over you, your job is not to fight it. Your job is to simply notice it and label it calmly and without judgment. You might say to yourself, there it is that I'm not good at. Or, interesting, the fear of scarcity is showing up again. What does this do? It creates space between you and the observer and the thought, the object, and the space that lies in your power of choice. You're taking the thought out of the driver's seat and putting it into the passenger seat. Practice this relentlessly. Become curious about your mind's patterns. You cannot change a pattern you are not aware of. Become the watcher. Step 2. Once you've created some space, you can begin actively rewriting the mental scripts. You're no longer just watching the play, you're picking up the pen. Affirmations get a bad rap because simply saying, I am a millionaire, when your bank account is overdrawn, feels like a lie. The secret is to reframe them so they are believable. Instead of jarring statements like, I am perfectly confident, try an empowering process-oriented version like, I am the process of building unshakable confidence. Instead of, I am in a perfect relationship, try, I am open and ready to attract a healthy, loving partnership. These work because they are conscious commands that interrupt negative thought loops and cast a vote for a new belief. Getting your thoughts onto paper brings clarity and intention. Take this a step further with scripting. Find a quiet time and write about your goal in vivid detail, but write it in the past tense as if it has already happened. But don't just write, I got the job. Write the story. I can't believe it. I woke up this morning for the first time today. I remember walking into this beautiful office. My new boss greeted me with a huge smile. I sat down at my desk and I felt this profound sense of peace and accomplishment. I did it.
Yes!
The psychological mechanism here is profound. You are forcing your brain to stimulate the experience and generate the emotions of having achieved it. Pride, joy, and relief. You are creating an emotional blueprint for your future. This brings us to visualization, a practice used by elite athletes and performers in every field. This isn't magic. Neuroscience has shown that when you vividly visualize an action, you activate many of the same neural pathways that are used when you physically perform it. You are in essence rehearsing for your future, but it must be a full sensory and emotional experience. Close your eyes. What do you hear? What do you feel? What do you smell? Most importantly, anchor it all in emotion. Feel the swell of pride, feel the profound calm, and you are conditioning your brain and body to be familiar with the emotional state of your future reality. When your mind and body are already living there emotionally, your behaviors will naturally start to align. This final step is the most important. Mindset without action is just sophisticated daydreaming. After becoming the watcher and the author, you must now become the architect. You must build your dream in the real world. This is where we talk about inspired action. This is different from the frantic, stressful hustle. Inspired action feels different. After you've aligned your mindset, you need to listen. The intuitive nudges, the sudden ideas, the opportunities that appear. Inspired action is often the next logical small step. Want to start a business? The inspired action might be to simply buy the domain name or have one conversation or spend 1 hour on research. Each small action you take is a powerful signal to yourself. It's a declaration to your subconscious mind that you are serious. For every action is a piece of evidence for your confirmation biases that say, see, I'm the kind of person who goes after their dreams. This builds a new positive feedback loop. The belief, I am capable of achieving my dream. The inspired action, you take one small aligned step. The result, you get a small positive result. The reinforcement, the small wins generates feelings of confidence, which powerfully reinforces your belief that you are in fact capable. This creates an upward spiral. Belief fuels action, action creates results, and results strengthen belief. This is how you consciously build a new reality. We began with a simple idea that your tendency to see your fears come true is actually proof of your influence. We've dissected the psychology behind why that influence so often defaults to fear from our ancient survival instincts and the negativity bias into the potent combination of the subconscious programming and confirmation bias. But we didn't stop there. We laid out a blueprint that can reclaim to power, to become the watcher, creating space from your thoughts, to become the author, rewriting your mental scripts, and finally to become the architect, translating your inner vision to outer reality through inspired action. The system of creation is always working. It is impartial. It will build whatever you feed it through your focus, beliefs, and behaviors. The difference is your conscious participation. The journey isn't about eliminating fear. Fear may always be a passenger. The journey is about taking its hands off the steering wheel. You are a creator. You have been creating your whole life. The question is no longer if you create the reality. The only question left is what will you choose to create next? Now, I want to turn this over to you. The first step in changing a pattern is declaring your intention. In the comments below, share 2 things. What is the #1 fear that you are now committed to stop fueling? And what is the #1 dream that you are going to aim your incredible power at instead? Writing it down makes it real, and your story might be the exact spark someone else needs to see today. And of course, if this video gave you value, please hit that like button, share it with someone who needs this, and subscribe for more deep dives into mastering your mind and consciously creating your reality. Thank you for watching.